Hi everyone, my name is Chris Hill and I'm here today to talk to you about addiction and mental health. And in the next 10 minutes, I hope to change your life so that you have the information to go on and change things that may be going on in your life or actually that's going on in your mind. So as I said, I'm here to talk about addictions. I spent over 20 years addicted to substances and activities which caused a lot of pain in my life. I actually started smoking from the age of 7, such a young age, but back in the early 70s when I was growing up, unfortunately smoking was so prevalent, it was so natural for people to smoke in the adult population. As a child, we wanted to emulate that. So me and my brother went into some woods, got a cigarette, lit it up, almost choked to death, but thought, come on, if we practice this, we'll get used to it and then we can look like an adult. And unfortunately, that then progressed on to an early age of drinking alcohol. And then when I got into secondary school, we was introduced to cannabis. And then the time we left school, we was already taking things like speed and LSD and ecstasy because it was the late 80s now, and that was the acid house music era. And unfortunately from that then progressed on to taking cocaine, and then a little bit after that, I was actually taking cocaine and heroin. So from a normal childhood, believe it or not, a good upbringing, good parenting, we sort of got sucked into this world of stimulants and addictions and everything else. Now at the time it was good, it was fun, but unfortunately the end results are not great. And because of that, I thought, right, I need to seek some help. So I started with doctors. I went to the doctor, I've got these issues, these problems. Doctor said, don't worry, I've got these tablets, go away and take these tablets. And I took the tablets, but unfortunately, I took the tablets and I took the drugs. So I thought, right, that doesn't work. So then I thought, therapy, let's go see a therapist, let's start getting some counselling. And I went through different counsellors and therapists and psychotherapists, which was good, but again, just like the tablets, I was still taking the drugs. And then I thought, well, let's go and get hypnotized, sit under, and someone can just go into my mind and reprogram it, which I thought, which actually the following day when I went to use, smoke a cigarette or whatever it was, there was a subliminal message in my mind that said, are you sure you want to do that? But unfortunately, again, I said, well, yes, I do. So I overrid the thought and then went on and smoked a cigarette and carried on taking the drugs and everything else. But I was on this journey. I was on this journey to try and find a solution to my problem. And what that solution was, is that there needed to be happiness on the other side. Because even though I don't want to do the drugs because of the consequences, I still got some sort of pleasure from it. But then on the other hand, I wasn't born this way. So was there a way that I could get back to my natural state of being before I ever went on this journey? And that was trying to get myself back to that 7-year-old, but now I'm an adult. But before I started smoking at 7, I was in my natural state of being. I had all my emotions and feelings, I had my, aspirations, my imagination, but for 20 long years, and that's how long I was in addiction, my mind and body were suppressed, my emotions were suppressed. So there wasn't any stimulus until I actually took a drug. So my journey, was to try and find that way back. And thank goodness I actually done it. And what I'm about to show you in this next page is how I done it. And once you understand how I done it, then you're going to be able to go on and you're going to be able to change whatever it is that you want in your life. Be it a behavioural change, be it an addiction, be it a relationship, or even just being successful in business. We have an inherent thing inside of us called our mind, which is actually stopping you from achieving your goals. And so this is what I went on and discovered. There was me, there was my mind, and there was my physical body. Now, I'd spent my whole life believing that when I looked in the mirror, this was me. But in truth, and after this long, long journey that I went on in addiction, I started to understand that I, and when I say I, the conscious self, me consciously speaking to you, you listening to me, I was independent of my mind and my body. Now, of course, I can't separate that part from me. You know, I can't go, right, this is me, there's my mind, there's my physical body. But actually on this journey of addiction, it was the discovery, and it was actually from watching a film called The Matrix. Everyone remember The Matrix? You know, brilliant film, been studied for years. But after watching that film, there was the realization that something similar is happening here. Because I'm spending all my time and my money trying to get out of addiction, but every time I try to get out, right, I'm not going to smoke, I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to take the drug, at the point of me saying that, guess what kicked in? My mind kicked in and said, oh, I'm not sure about that. Oh, I'm not sure that this is the right time. Maybe we could go back and see that counsellor first. Maybe we could... So there's me trying to do the right thing, but every time I tried to do the right thing, this little thing behind me kicked in and tried to convince me not to. So if that's me out here trying to do the right thing, but my mind's trying to do the wrong thing, then there must be an independence between us. And that was the light bulb moment. Actually realising after watching The Matrix, which is just a virtual reality world completely made up, but the similarities between it about control and people not actually knowing that they were wired into a system, was the realisation that I am wired into a mind and a body, i.e. that my mind and body are like a vehicle, something that I have to be in to be able to experience this life. And I know it begs into a bigger question, well, if I'm not my mind and I'm not my body, then who am I and where am I? And and we could talk about religion, we could talk about virtual reality worlds, we could talk about, reincarnation or energy forces moving through. And, I really don't want to get into that because then that becomes a faith thing. But actually understanding that my mind and body wasn't me. So my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, they were just a guide. But see, every time I had an urge, a hunger, a thirst, a need, I believed that I had to serve it. Because every time I didn't go for the food or the drug or the cigarette, I would get anxiety and stress. So I must need to do it because that's what my mind and body were telling me. But the realization was that I do not have to do what my mind and body ask. And as you start to recognize that the mind and the body are not you, then you're going to start to see where your problems existed. See, I thought the cigarettes, the drink, the alcohol, the cocaine, the recreational, the pharmaceutical, the gambling, everything else that came with it, I thought that that was me. But now I recognize, and even though I started these processes, I now know that it was my mind and body trying to convince me to use, because I had wired the system to it, through addictive behaviours and everything else. And you have to understand we live in a very stimulus world. Everything is creating dopamine or serotonin, but every time serotonin or dopamine is released, the mind and body wire to it like a prehistoric instinct to survive. Find food, find shelter, find a mate, don't get eaten by a wild animal. But now that prehistoric mechanism is trying to work in a modern day society. And unfortunately, it's causing a lot of us harm. So by teaching you that there's a separation model existing in you to teach you to become more consciously aware of what is going on inside of you, you are going to take more control of your life. And that includes fear and anxiety and not being good enough to achieve. If you're a £100,000 earner here, why can't you be $1 million? Because your mind will say that you're not good enough. What we've got to do is stop listening to the mind, and we've got to start taking it into our own control. Because once you take control of it, you take control of the mind and body, and then you become the guide. At the moment, it's the mind and body guiding you. So hopefully, just by this little, very, very simple model, you're going to go away now and you're going to be able to change your life. Okay? So my name is Chris Hill. My organisation is beatmyaddictions.com. You can come and find us there, or we actually have a charity called the robhillfoundation.org. And that's where you'll find all our charity work. And you can find me on Amazon. This is an Amazon #1 best-selling book. It's called Get Your Life Back, The Road to Freedom from Addiction. Okay, and everything is in here as well. So thank you for all coming today. Chris Hill, beatmyaddictions.com. Thank you very much.